Umapati Mahadev ki Jai. Jai Sitaram, their devotees, Swagatam, and welcome back to another virtual spiritual retreat with yours in Dharma, Pandit Shiva Janak Maharaj. Another beautiful day it is here in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago as we have this premiere here on TV Jagrati every Sunday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. as well as we have a rebroadcast of the Pravachan section of this broadcast on Surrey every Thursday from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. and dear devotees, on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, you can search for Surrey Village Shiv Mandir and we have an archive there of all our past programmings that you can go back and you can view and see and learn, dear devotees, and share. And this morning, I would like to Bhagwan's choices, blessings upon all those who have been reaching out to us and giving us your feedback. Yes, last week we would have had that very special broadcast where we would have recorded our pujan, our Surya Bhagwan pujan on the outside of the mandir to show you the beautiful scenic scene that we have here at the Surrey Village Shiv Mandir. And we would have shown you this mountain behind me here. We would have shown you that light sunrise coming up from. That was not edited. It was all natural and it was not time-lapsed. It was natural. That 10 minutes of that Surya Bhagwan rising up over the mountain there, devotees, was all natural and real at the Surrey Village Shiv Mandir. And we performed the puja and you heard all the birds and you saw the mountains in the background and all these things that we shared with you. And many would have reached out to us and said they felt the peace of the environment. And this is why we call it our regular service, not a Sunday morning service, but a Sunday morning retreat, a spiritual retreat. You see, you get away from all the hustle and bustle of the outside world and you come in a natural environment of nature and Bhagwan, dear devotees, to make that connection, that yoke, that connection with Bhagwan. And so when we do reopen, we wish to see you all to help, to come and make a visit to us, dear devotees. And so we depend on the contributions that you all are giving and continue to give, that we can create new content as we have been doing, dear devotees. We have so many ideas and many more interesting and new content that we would like to bring to you from the Surrey Village Shiv Mandir, but we need your assistance to do so. So please continue. Bhagwan's blessings upon all of you for contributing and for supporting and giving us your best wishes, dear devotees, in this way. And now, for today's program, we will go into, what are some of the influences of our Sanatan Dharam, our eternal way of life on the greater society, dear devotees. And so we'll look at that. And before we do so, let us begin this morning with a beautiful Bhagwan Shri Ganesh Ji invocation, Bhajan, dear devotees, as we focus our thoughts, we focus our minds before we get into our pravachan in our lesson and discourse for this morning. Prem se bolo Shri Ganesh Bhagwan ki Jai.
Vande Ganapati Vighna Vinashanam Lambodara Gajanana Vande Ganapati Vighna Vinashanam Lambodara Gajanana Vande Ganapati Vighna Vinashanam Lambodara Gajanana शेखरनन्दना वन्दे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हे लम्बोदर गजानना 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 वन्दे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हे लम्बोदर गजानना।
प्रेम से बोलो श्री गणेश भगवान की जय हो। जय सीताराम devotee swagatam and welcome back to your virtual spiritual retreat with your Shri Pandit Shiva Janak Maharaj. And this morning we would like to look at one of the international days celebrated or recommended of observance by the United Nations. Yes, devotees, the United Nations. And this day is observed every year on the 24th of January. The 24th of January every year is this day is observed, and this is the fourth international day of this observance. And what observance am I speaking of? It says here, and I'm reading from the UNESCO.org website, it says here, on the 24th of January 2022, we will be celebrating the 4th International Day of Education. So it's the International Day of Education. Under the theme, Changing Course, Transforming Education. So that's the theme for 2022. Changing Course, Transforming Education. as it was detailed in the UNESCO's recent Global Feature of Education report. Transforming the future requires an urgent rebalancing of our relationships with each other, with nature, as well as with technology that permeates our lives. Bearing through opportunities while raising serious concerns for equity, inclusion, and democratic participation. You see, so these are some of the reasons why UNESCO is seeing it fit to observe an International Day of Education. Now, it continues to say this year International Day of Education will be a platform to showcase the most important transformations that have to be nurtured to realize everyone's fundamental right to education and build a more sustainable, inclusive, and peaceful future. So peace and unity and all these things are some of the main objectives of the United Nations, proclaiming that we should observe a day like this, dear devotees. So it continues to say, it will generate debate around how to strengthen education as a public endeavor and the common good, how to steer a digital transformation, support teachers, safeguard the planet, and unlock the potential in every person to contribute to a collective well-being and our shared home. And so these are again, dear devotees, this whole idea of developing each person to be the best they can be, as well as to have inclusion and to have respect and support for teachers and to have respect for our planet. All these are objectives of this International Day of Education, So when we speak of transformation of education and we speak of the future, in today's discourse, in today's pravachan, I would like to suggest maybe United Nations should look to the history or to go back and see which education system through the years have these objectives already and who were very successful in having these objectives, implemented in their education system. And this is what we will look at today. What educational system over the years would have had all these things embedded in that education and in that education system? This is our katha for today. Of course, we all know that Mata Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge, she's the goddess of learning, she's the goddess for education. And so we'll have some bhajans this morning dedicated to her. And so let us begin this morning as we give praises to Devi Sharade, Devi Saraswati Mata, as we pray to her, as we continue discussing the International Day of Education. Prim se bolo Shri Saraswati Mata ki jai. Solo Shri Saraswati Mata Ki Jai Ho. Jai Sitaram, their devotees, Swagatam, and welcome back to your virtual spiritual retreat with yours truly, Pandit Shiva, Janak Maharaj. And this morning we are, diving into some of the objectives that the United Nations wish to achieve with the International Day of Education, which is on the 24th of January every year, dear devotees. And we are looking at if we had to find a education system that has been proven to work and have to meet all the objectives that are stipulated of finding peace and harmony and developing each person to be their greatest self and to respect for others and respect for the environment and respect for everything, their devotees, then where should we turn to? And so this is why this morning I've chosen to say, let us look at the Hindu education system. Yes, devotees, the Hinduism, as we call it, it's a collection of philosophy and religious traditions that originate from the Indus River. That's a technical, the term is a Western name given to Hindus, However, we are known to practice what is called Sanatan Dharam, that eternal way of life, and that eternal teaching that we can put into practice. Eternal meaning it served its purpose then, it is the same, it will serve its purpose now, and it will continue. It's eternal, dear devotees. That's why it's Sanatan, never ending. And so, this, in the texts of the Sanatan Dharam, which are numerous, of course, they all have Hindu culture, including education and family. Hindu culture includes education and family life. And we will go further to say, dear devotees, Hindu scriptures and the Vedas in particular. Ved itself means knowledge. And so education is all about getting knowledge. So the Vedas themselves teach that vidya, that knowledge that we need to acquire for education. Or education itself is required to achieve order and peace. So Hindu scriptures or Vedas teach that the vidya or education is required to achieve order and peace in a family and society. That education, I repeat, is needed in order to achieve order and peace in family and society. One of the first objectives, check, that the United Nations is looking for. It continues to say, the Rig Veda teaches that one can understand the universe only through the absorption of knowledge. Now, respect for all around, respect for the environment, and all of this comes only understanding the universe, understanding how we all work together and we all, live, should be in that harmony with nature and others, their devotees. That is very important for education. It comes only with knowledge, the absorption of knowledge. It says here, the best method of education and enlightenment is reading and self-study. This Veda exhorts, referring to the Rig Veda, parents to nurture and educate children and grandchildren well. So in the Rig Veda, it encourages us to start this education from the formative years, from the very young age of the children, their devotees. And again, another area or objective that the UN is looking for, enlightenment. Enlightenment, knowing or becoming the best you can be. That is what enlightenment is all about, always striving for higher until you can achieve your highest goals. And we will discuss the goals in a little while. But this is what education, we can only move up that ladder and become enlightened and have that universal understanding and live in peace and harmony with education. This is what the Hindu Dharma teaches, your Sanatan Dharma teaches this, devotees. It is embedded in the whole structure of how what Sanatan Dharma is, what it is to be a Hindu. That is why education has always been on the front burner for our ancestors. All of them, they worked hard and they educated their children. So while we look more into the depths of why the Hindu system is something that we should look at and to maintain in order to have the objectives that the International Day of Education wishes to acquire, we should look at our very own devotees. Prem se bolo Shri Saraswati Mata ki Jai.
Share
Shri Saraswati Mata ki Jai Ho. Jai Sitaram, dear devotees, Swagatam, and welcome back to your virtual spiritual retreat with your Shri Pandit Shiva Janak Maharaj. And this morning we continue our discussion, our pravachan on the International Day of Education. And the International Day of Education is observed on the 24th of January. It is proclaimed by the United Nations. And thus far, we have looked at how the Hindu education system is an education system, especially the Vedic education system is one that encompasses all the elements or all the objectives that are required from the observation of the International Day of Education. And so this morning, let us continue as we look at the United Nations UN UNESCO.org page once again. And it says here that education without inclusive and equitable quality education and lifelong opportunities for all countries will not succeed in achieving gender equality and breaking the cycle of poverty that is leaving millions of children, youth and adults behind. So, we always hear the advice that the way out of poverty, the way out of a situation or a lifestyle that you want to, evolve from is education. That's one of the ways you can educate yourself and their devotees. What does the Hindu perspective on education says as it pertains to this point of getting out of that poverty? It says here, in Hinduism, education is an important means to achieve the four aims of Hindu life, the four aims of Hindu life. So we all know dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma, virtue, artha, wealth, kama, pleasures, and moksha, liberation. So education is an important means to achieve these. Like the UN want to get out of poverty, you need education. Yes, the Hindu system says that you need education to achieve your four goals in life. Also, it is vital for the preservation and the propagation of dharma, without which, declares Vedic Dharma, we cannot regulate our society or families properly to live in peace. Another objective of the United Nations, that education must bring about that harmony and peace in families and in society. And so we see that is a foundation of the Hindu Vedic way of living, their devotees, the Sanatan Dharma. That is why Sanatan Dharma is called eternal. These principles that we apply and the principles that we live by, these are principles that never die, and these are principles that we can apply to achieve these world or global objectives that the United Nations is trying to achieve by having the International Day of Education, their devotees. And this continues, Vidya or education is the means by which an individual can gain right knowledge, control his desires, and learn to perform his obligatory duties with a sense of detachment and devotion to Bhagwan, to God, and so that he can overcome the impurities of ego, of the desires and the anger and all the kama, krodha, madha, lobha, and all these other inner enemies, the delusions, and achieve liberation, moksha. And so, dear devotees, in Sanatana Dharma, in Hinduism, we have a very high honor and a very high place for education. And look at the Hindu homes, look at how they sacrifice, look at our ancestors, how they would have toiled the soils and ensure that each generation seeks to get their education so that they can make something better for themselves. This is what the Hindu way of life is, dear devotees. So we have one more beautiful bhajan to Saraswati Mata as we enjoy their devotees. Please think of these aspects of your Sanatana Dharma, your way of life. Look at how this ancient, what some may call ancient, right? Because it was there from inception, these concepts are still the same concepts and the same objectives that our global leaders are trying to achieve to today, dear devotees, and be proud to be a Hindu. Prem se bolo Shri Saraswati Mata ki jai ho.
Gama pani pani sa sa ni dha pa sa ni ra pa gama pa ma ga re ni sa ma sha re ma sha re ma sha re sa sa re sa ni ni sa ni pa pa ni ra ma pa ga ma pa ni da 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 sa pa pa ni ma pa ma ga ma ga re sa a Ma Saraswati Sharade Ma Saraswati Sharade दूर इस अज्ञान उदर से दूर इस अज्ञान उदर से वीणा पानी तार दे माँ सरस्वती शारदे माँ सरस्वती शारदे सूर्य ब्रह्मा विष्णु गजानन जिन चरणों को सेवते सूर्य ब्रह्मा शिव विष्णु गजानन जिन चरणों को सेवते हम शिशु हैं अज्ञानी माता इन चरणों का प्यार दे सरस्वती शारदे माँ सरस्वती शारदे मूरख हम नहीं जानी चरनी मूरख हम नहीं जानी जननी पूजन वंदन ध्यान को मूरख हम नहीं जानी जननी पूजन वंदन ध्यान को आदि शक्ति करक्षमा हमें आदि शक्ति करक्षमा हमें पूजा के उद्धार दे सरस्वती शारदे श्वेत कमल तेरा आसन है, श्वेत हंस तेरा वाहन है, श्वेत कमल श्वेत कमल तेरा आसन है, श्वेत हंस तेरा वाहन है। हम पर सिद्ध दृष्टि कर जानी, बोर चीर की दार दे। वीणा पानी वीणा पानी वीणा पानी तार दे, शार दे तार दे। माँ सरस्वती शारदे, माँ सरस्वती शारदे। दूर इस अज्ञान उदर से, दूर इस अज्ञान उदर से। वीणा पानी तार दे, शारदे तार दे। माँ सरस्वती शारदे, माँ सरस्वती शारदे। जय जय माँ, जय जय माँ, जय जय माँ शारदे, जय जय माँ शारदे, जय जय माँ शारदे, 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 शारदे,
प्रेम से बोलो श्री सरस्वती माता की जय। जय सीताराम dear devotees, swagatam and welcome back to your virtual spiritual retreat with yours in Dharma, Pandit Shiva Janak Maharaj. This morning we have discussed what the UN wants to celebrate or is observing on the 24th of January. They have declared it as the International Day of Education. And we have looked at the objectives that they hope to achieve by observing and having discussions on this International Day of Education. And we have looked at what are some of the objectives of education for Hindus or in Hinduism, and what is the importance of education in Hinduism, and saw that the objectives align perfectly. So if you as a Hindu practice these things that are part of your Sanatan Dharma, you will definitely be on the path of achieving the goals that the United Nations wants to achieve by observing the International Day of Education on the 24th of January. They observe every year. Now, dear devotees, an invitation for all of you to join us for a very special virtual retreat next week, where we will guide you through performing Havan and Jap to that goddess of education, Saraswati Mata. Yes, devotees, we know that we are quickly approaching that Basant Panchami time, and so we will be gearing for that and preparing you for that, as we will have a special Havan next week. So you can, stay tuned and like and follow us on our Facebook page, where you will get the information of the timing and the ingredients that you would need, of course, to join us next week, Sunday, the 30th of January, for this very special programming as we prepare ourselves and we get in that mode of Basant, that mode of spring, dear devotees, for Basant Panchami of Saraswati Mata, that most auspicious day for Saraswati Mata. Easy to follow along. We'll do a little katha on the importance of the mantra, explaining the mantra that we will be using for our jap, for our Havan, for Saraswati Mata. So don't miss that next week if you want to join along, just as so many of you have joined along with us last week for our Surya Bhagwan Havan and jap to Surya Bhagwan as we celebrate the Uttarayan, this most auspicious time where the sun is seemingly on its northern journey. If you missed that explanation, please go back last week on our YouTube channel and look at that program where we had the diagram and we explained what the Uttarayan is, the daytime for the deities, and so the Dakshinayan, the night time for the deities, and this is indeed from the Makar Sankranti, that sunrise is the daytime for the deities. So without much to do, we invite all of you to join us for that special Havan, for your virtual spiritual retreat next week, and we hope that you continue to support us in the ways that you have been. Please send us your comments and your feedback on Facebook and on YouTube as well, dear devotees, and so we can be creating more content that will be satisfying your thirst for knowledge, your thirst for education, as we have spoken about today. So as we end today, we pray, Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Game. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Now, dear devotees, we are about to perform that sacred homa, that Havan, as we make the oblations of our devotion in the form of chanting the mantras to the various deities and offering to the sacred fire. It is said that Agin Devta is the mouthpiece of the devatas. And when we chant their names, it's like, we write their name, their address on a letter. And then we say Swaha. It's like saying click and send in our emails, so that it will go to their heavenly regions, magnify it and purify it, so that it reaches the respective recipients of each of the mantras. So as we first invite Agin Devta, we chant Harihi Om Shri Agin Devta Avahyami Dhyayami Cha Om Shri Agin Devta Avaham Asanam Samarpiyami. We take the ghee with the spoon and we offer Harihi Om Shri Agnaye Namah Swaha Om Shri Somay Namah Swaha Om Shri Prajapate Namah Swaha Om Shri Indraye Namah Swaha Om Sarvebhyo Devebhyo Namah Swaha. We take the thali with the samagri now as we feed with our hands. We continue. Om Bhu Swaha Om Bhuva Swaha Om Swaha Swaha Om Shri Brahmanaye Namah Swaha Om Shri Vishnave Namah Swaha Om Shri Rudraye Namah Swaha Om Shri Durga Devye Namah Swaha Om Shri Lakshmi Devyai Namah Swaha Om Shri Saraswati Devyai Namah Swaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namah Swaha Om Ham Hanumantaya Namah Swaha Om Ram Ramaya Namah Swaha Om Shri Krishnaya Namah Swaha Om Shri Narayanaya Namah Swaha Om Shri Ishdevtabhyo Namah Swaha Om Shri Kuldevtabhyo Namah Swaha Om Shri Gram Devtabhyo Namah Swaha Om Shri Stan Devtabhyo Namah Swaha Om Shri Vastu Devtabhyo Namah Swaha Om Shri Prithvi Devyai Namah Swaha Om Shri Gauri Devyai Namah Swaha. Om Shri Tulsi Devyai Namah Swaha. Om Shri Shalikrambhava Namah Swaha. Om Shri Satyarayana Swami Namah Swaha. Om Shri Kalash Kumbhe Namah Swaha. Om Shri Panchpal Devtabhyo Namah Swaha. Om Shri Dikpal Devtabhyo Namah Swaha. Om Shri Suryaya Swaha. Om Shri Somaya Swaha. Om Shri Bhaumaya Swaha. Om Shri Budhaya Swaha. Om Shri Gurave Swaha. Om Shri Shukraya Swaha. Om Shri Shanashcharaya Swaha. Om Shri Rahave Swaha. Om Shri Ketave Swaha. All the rest in 3 shares. Om Bhurvasva Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Swaha. Om Bhurvasva Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Swaha. Om Bhurvasva Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Swaha. Om Sarvebhyo Sarvabhum Swaha. We all stand now for the Purnahuti. Harihi Om. Jayanti Kali Mangala Kali Bhadra Kali Kapalini Durga Chama Shiva Rachi Swaha Swadha Namosode. Om Purnamana Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Sarvadevi Sarvadevtaya Punutibhyo Namaha Swaha. Water, Achma. Om Sarvatirat Samayuktam Sugandhim Nirmalam Jalam Achmanyam Mayadatam Grihana Parameshwara. A flow of the fun. Harihi Om. Vanaspatirasो bhuto ghanyaro ganna utma agrihah sarvarevanam bhupoyam patigrihita. Harihi Om. We take our blessings in the name of Lord Shiva. We pass our hands over the fire and we take our blessings. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Harihi Om. We all stand now for our final Mangala Aarati. As we do our Aarati, wherever you are, at your homes as well, you perform that Mangala Aarati in your minds. For Manas Puja, you wave the sacred light in front of all the deities as you seek your own blessings from where you are. Harihi Om. Karpura Gauram Karunavataram Sansara Saram Bhujagindraharam Sada Vasantam Hridayadavinde Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namah. सहितं नमामि।
जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी, जय जगदीश हरे।
भक्तजनों के संगत, नाज़जनों के संगत, चलने दूर करे, ओम जय जगदीश हरे।
जो जावे मन पावे, दुख दिन से मन का स्वामी, दुख दिन से मन का। सुख संपत्ति घर
we have come to the end of this morning's programming, your virtual spiritual retreat here at the Surrey Village Shiv Mandir. And as we come to the close, we pray, O Lord, if there are any mistakes that we have made, knowingly, unknowingly, O Lord, please forgive us. We pray, O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, and lead us from mortality to immortality. As we close, we remind ourselves, as we should remind ourselves every day, every minute, every second, O Lord, you are my mother, you are my father, you are my best friend, you are my knowledge, you are my wealth, you are my everything, O Lord. Harihi Om. Mantrahinam kriyahinam bhaktahinam janadanam yat pujitam mayadeva paripurnam tarastame. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. In one united voice we all chant Om. Tvameva mata च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.